Part 47. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 461. Let him go. Lord Zilong spoke. His tone was one of discussion, but his aura did not give any room for discussion. He must die. Su Xian nodded. Whoosh. The broken sword of the Tai Chi heaven and earth sword in his hand flew out, directly attacking and killing the monarch. I said, let him go. Lord Zilong spoke again, his beard and eyebrows fluttering, and his pupils released the extraordinary power of time, forcibly distorting and changing the time of that world. The Tai Chi heaven and earth sword fragments were also slightly affected. In the end, the bloody monarch escaped. Thank you. Lord Zilong smiled. No need. Su Xian looked at him indifferently. Puff. Before he finished speaking, another fragment emerged from the body of the blood-killing monarch, completely ending this ancient abyss monarch. Before going on the expedition, the blood-killing monarch never thought that he would die on the way to conquer such a weak life. Two pieces of the Tai Chi Heavenly Emperor sword returned to Su Xian's hands. Good means. Lord Zilong's smile disappeared and his eyes became sharp. It seems that you are very confident. Maybe you think you can withstand this battle, but it is actually impossible. Blue Star will definitely lose. Su Xian smiled and said, the last person who said this was already destroyed. The Zilong Lord shook his head. It's different. Lowland Star and Abyss World are not on the same level. They are only slightly stronger than Blue Star, but they are always on the same level. The Abyss Life World is a life world that is higher than you. Time and space change around the Zilong Lord. Only he and Su Xian were left in the world. I am here not because of my wishes, but... His eyes bloomed with brilliance, to convey the will of the God of the Abyss. These words finally aroused Su Xian's curiosity. You're surprised, right? Lord Zilong spoke, but I can tell you clearly that the most powerful person in the Abyss is not us, the Lords of the Abyss, but the God of the Abyss. You understood correctly, the God of the Abyss is the real God, the living God. At that moment, countless images flashed through Su Xian's mind. He remembered the projections he saw when he climbed to the heavenly level before. At the 93rd heavenly level, that projection carried a strong abyss aura. At that time, he speculated that this might be the God in charge of the abyss world. Now that Lord Zilong has spoken, he has truly confirmed the existence of the God of the Abyss. If the God of the Abyss takes action, there is indeed no possibility of victory for Blue Star now. Including him, he is no match for the God of the Abyss now. You have passed the test of the God of the Abyss. The conditions of the God of the Abyss are very simple. He appreciates you very much and hopes that you can join the Abyss world and become one of his divine slaves. Zilong Lord said, there are not many people who can be invited by the God of the Abyss to become God's slaves. In the past long years, there have only been 3. One of them is me, and the other one is dead. How do you choose now? God's slave. What's that? Su Xian was not in a hurry to answer, but took the opportunity to ask to learn more about the chaotic universe. Lord Zilong explained, in the chaotic universe, there are only a handful of true gods, and most of the beings that can survive in the void realm of the chaotic universe can only be called false gods. Above the demigod realm is the pseudo-god realm, and you are in this realm now. The 7 abyss monarchs are also in this realm. It is unimaginable to become a true god by your own strength, so now there is a second way that can make you equal to a god, which is to become a slave of the main god. Su Xian was shocked. It turns out that there are still such twists and turns above the demigod realm. He continued to ask, what is the Lord God? Lord Zilong smiled, thinking that Su Xian's heart had been shaken. He had also asked the same question before and finally surrendered to the God of the Abyss and became his divine slave. The Lord God has been recognized by the world will of a super life world and the supreme will of the chaotic universe, and has condensed the great existence of the Lord Godhead. They enjoy endless lifespans and are existences that stand at the highest pinnacle of the chaotic universe. Each main god has a god's throne. If you become its god slave, you can get these gods. Now, how do you choose? Lord Zalong looked at Su Xian confidently. Give up a weak world of life and become a slave of the gods, and you will appreciate the infinite charm of the chaotic universe. Maybe you will be sad at this time, but when you really make a choice, you will find that everything is just a cloud. The feelings of a weak life are not worth mentioning. Under the wash of the vast river of time, all pain will disappear. Su Xian smiled. He didn't know what he would think standing in that position. He only knew that from his current thinking, it would be better to die if he lived like that. In that case, he might be bored enough to commit suicide, right? The meaning of life shouldn't be like that. At least now he doesn't think so. I refuse. Su Xian gave the answer in his heart. You refuse. Lord Zalong was stunned for a moment, and then sneered, you are indeed as stupid as the previous human being. Maybe you humans are all so stupid. He did not continue to persuade. He has already conveyed the will of the God of the Abyss. How this human being chooses has nothing to do with him. He was also in pain at the beginning. But looking back at his past self with his current perspective, he just felt it was ridiculous. Everything he had stubbornly guarded before was nothing but drifting clouds and smoke. Be prepared to welcome the wrath of the God of the Abyss. The Lord of the Candle Dragon dispersed the power of time and returned to the world channel with Su Xian. He looked down at Su Xian. You still have the last time to enjoy. It won't be long before you and this world will become the nourishment of the Abyss and become part of the great God of the Abyss. The power of the Lord of the Candle Dragon's two-color pupils burst out, forcibly cutting off time and space, and left with the remaining 6 ancient lords of the Abyss. At the same time, in various places on the battlefield of Blue Star, countless Abyss creatures that were fighting suddenly retreated frantically into the interior of the Abyss world. Looking at this scene, the soldiers didn't know what happened, but they all breathed a sigh of relief. After the intense battle, their legs and feet were a little weak. Su Xian sat alone in the fragmented world channel, letting the chaotic energy scrape his body. The words brought by Lord Zalong did have a profound impact on him. God of the Abyss, projection of the 93rd heavenly rank. He can only be regarded as the lower level on the 10th heavenly rank, but he is still one of the most powerful people in the entire chaotic universe. He didn't know whether the God of the Abyss would come in person. But he knew that the God of the Abyss was definitely just one of the parties in the game, and was not even as good as the messenger of the god named Crying Eye. He was restrained by many parties, and he didn't know what he was planning. But this was his best chance. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 462. The life of the Abyss recedes like the tide. All the world passages have become empty. They seem to not care about the strategic position in the world at all. Even though they know that Blue Star can deploy protective formations, they still withdraw without a single soldier left. Su Xian returns from the ultimate battlefield. As soon as he left the battlefield, the communicator sent out a series of responses, and all Blue Star executives were waiting for his news. Not far away, there were many senior executives of Blue Star. In addition to a few fallen demigods, all the other powerful demigods were present, and the top kings were also present, including the King of Thunder from the Eagle Kingdom, the Mad Lion King from the Bear Kingdom who had recovered from serious injuries, and Saint Luo from the Romantic Kingdom. The royal capital broke through to the demigod realm during this battle. Master! A figure shot out from the crowd and landed in front of Su Xian. In full view of everyone, he was about to kneel down and kowtow, but Su Xian held him first. The Abyss Demon Lord, who was terrifying in the eyes of countless people, was like a child returning to his parents for the first time after being away for a long time, with red eyes. Just come back. Su Xian patted the eldest disciple on the shoulder. Zhang Mu is a person who values affection and righteousness. As a master, he can see that. The other disciples call him teacher, but only Zhang Mu uses the word master as an honorific title. Once upon a time, this eldest disciple also confided his true feelings, saying that in the other person's heart, he was as close a relative as a biological parent. Su Xian watched this eldest disciple grow up, from a mediocre young man with low self-esteem who only knew how to work hard, to a confident and proud genius. Then there is the now supreme demon lord of the abyss. Hard work and self-discipline have been carried out throughout this eldest disciple's life. The opportunities he gave this eldest disciple were fully grasped. It took countless life and death experiences to get to this point. He can deserve to be called elder brother by other disciples in his sect. Master, I'm sorry, I still haven't been able to help you this time. Zhang Mu blamed himself. You've done a great job. Su Xian smiled and said, you have done something that no life in the abyss has ever done. You are not only a miracle in the abyss, but also a miracle in Blue Star. That's right. Xiao Li flew over and said with a smile, senior brother is obviously already great, I just say that our cow horse team will definitely meet at the top. Look who dares to make fun of us now. As he spoke, Xiao Li held his head high and his chest high, standing back to back with Zhang Mu, posing as if he was touching his nose. How's it going, teacher? Aren't my senior brother and I really in touch with each other? Su Xian smiled and nodded. Brother, smile. Xiao Li stretched out his hand and poked Zhang Mu, are you not used to it after being back for so long? What are you always doing with a sullen face? Did you meet a cuter life in the abyss than me, my junior sister? Zhang Mu finally forced out a smile and shook his head, no, junior sister Xiao Li will always be the cutest in my heart. He, that's right. Xiao Li's eyes shone, senior brother, the armor you are wearing is so handsome, and the horns are so domineering. You are simply the senior brother of my dreams. Yeah. Zhang Mu's smile became more and more correct. Infected by Xiao Li's smile, the nervous and depressed mood he felt after arriving at Blue Star was quickly dissipating. Xianyu and Qing also came over and teased, Xiao Li is really the famous double standard of Blue Star. Others are ugly like this, but senior brother is handsome and superhuman like this. Humph, Xiao Li curled his lips, what's the famous double standard? It's so ugly. This should be called the filter of junior sister's love, senior brother, don't you think so? Yes, yes. Zhang Mu smiled bitterly and suddenly regained the feeling he had back then. The warm feeling of the past came over me. Xianyu and Qing raised her eyebrows, then senior brother should also have a love filter, right? After that, he clicked the space ring on his hand and brought out a very large bowl of chicken soup. In the days when senior brother is not around, senior brother will remember the amount of chicken soup every time. Damn it! Zhang Mu instantly remembered the fear of being dominated by chicken soup. That feeling is even more uncomfortable than when the reverse growth lines are condensed. Here, we have junior sister Lao Qing. Senior brother shouldn't dislike junior sister's feelings, right? Xianyu and Qing said with a smile. Ha ha ha. Loud laughter came from the side, senior brother, are you too unlucky? When you came back, you were fed chicken soup by third senior sister. Xianyu and Qing glared and threw out another bowl of chicken soup, shut up, this is yours. If you can't finish it, just wait for me. Sun Xiaokang's expression shrank. I really want to give myself a big ear. Why did you get into trouble? Lao Miaotian looked calm, and just walked forward and gave Zhang Mu a big hug. Elder brother, welcome back. Lao Lu also stepped forward and enthusiastically sang a welcome song from the old era, congratulating his senior brother on his return in a unique way. Welcome back, senior brother. Xiaoqi Nicole Ellen also expressed her welcome. Although she got started before her senior brother went to the Abyss world, she is not too familiar with it and still feels a little unfamiliar at this moment. Lao Ba Wuxin still didn't speak, but nodded slightly. But this nod was surprising enough in the eyes of other disciples. Not many people could ask Lao Ba to give feedback. Apart from the teacher, almost no one could ask Lao Ba to take the initiative to respond. Little Miss Juya didn't know Zhongmu at all. This is the first time the brothers and sisters have met. She stepped forward timidly and said, "Elder brother." "Ninth junior sister." Zhongmu smiled and said, "I have always been curious about hearing that junior sister 9 can control the power of the Abyss spirits. If junior sister 9 has any questions about the Abyss, you can ask me. After all, he has lived in the Abyss for so long. Now he can be regarded as an Abyss life, and he knows a lot about the generation of Abyss spirits." "Thank you, senior brother." Miss Yuya was still a little shy. The 9 disciples gathered together and gradually became familiar with the others. It was not until their master came over that the senior leaders of Blue Star dared to come and disturb them. The demigods all looked at Su Xian, hoping that His Majesty Su Xian, who was like a savior, could give them a reassuring answer. "The Abyss has temporarily retreated." Su Xian spoke, his deep voice spreading everywhere. "It won't be long before they come back, please don't relax. There are 2 important tasks at present. First, build fortifications in various world channels with all our strength. Second, all resources should be tilted towards the Alchemy Guild organized by my disciple Xianyu and Qingqing. This battle can provide us with many samples. With King ability, more weapons can be developed in a short time to deal with the Abyss." Su Xian did not mention the god of the Abyss. Because he knew very well that he was the backbone of the entire Blue Star, and everyone would place their hopes on him. If they knew that the Abyss had an enemy that even he could not resist, the morale of the Blue Star would drop to the freezing point in an instant, and some people might even fall into despair. By that time, before the Abyss attacks, the entire Blue Star will fall into a collapse of order. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 463. Return to Dingai Palace. After another world fusion war, World Tree once again expanded extremely exaggeratedly. Today's World Tree covers an area equivalent to several royal cities. Coming of age is coming soon. The trunk of the World Tree will no longer grow after adulthood, but the scope of influence of the power of nature will continue to expand until it is completely finalized. At that time, it will be able to break away from one world and create a new life world based on itself. Today's World Tree has truly become his biggest trump card. Su Ying, I'm back. No matter how powerful the enemy was, Su Xian did not dare to tell Lin Suying, who was now pregnant. How's the situation? Lin Suying asked with a smile. Fine. Su Xian also smiled and replied, the Abyss army temporarily retreated, seemingly under the orders of the strongest monarch in the Abyss, Lord Zilong. I don't know what their plans are, but they should be back soon. I heard that you single-handedly blocked the oldest Abyss monarchs. At this point, Lin Suying was a little worried again. I really hope the baby will be born soon. Then I can fight with you again. At least I can share some of the pressure for you. After fighting for Blue Star for more than 10 years, Lin Suying is naturally not a person who can live idle, but she has to stay at home for the sake of her baby. Otherwise, you must go to the battlefield and kill everyone. The two chatted. The disciples also came in to say hello. They all have expectations for the teacher's children. Maybe the babies in their arms will also be their junior brothers and sisters in the future? Teacher's wife. Zhang Mu bowed and said hello, apologetically, I'm sorry, master, For not being able to come back in time to attend your wedding with Master. It'll be good if you're back. Lin Suiying smiled and said, besides, Xiaoshuang has already participated in your place. You two share the same heart and soul, just like one person. When Xiaoshuang's wishes come to yours, they will also come to you. Thank you, Master, for your understanding. Zhang Mu smiled honestly and stood aside. You must have received a lot of confusion and abuse when you came back from the abyss, right? Lin Suiying said, Master, I understand how you feel. Sometimes it is unavoidable to be misunderstood by people. You have to calm down. Looking back, she also encountered a lot of misunderstanding. Fortunately, everything unraveled in the end. Zhang Mu smiled and said, don't worry, Master, I don't care about that. As long as I can return to Master, stay with Xiaoshuang again, and guard the Master's gate with other junior brothers and sisters, I will be satisfied. That's good. Lin Suiying also knew that Zhang Mu's mentality was far from ordinary, so she didn't say anything more and just smiled and said, since everyone is here, let's stay and have a meal. Speaking of which, this is the first time for everyone to get together. Good. Thank you, Master. None of the disciples declined. It was a rare warmth to be able to sit around a table with relatives and friends in this chaotic era and talk about various things other than interests. Master, you are pregnant, can you leave the cooking to me? Xianyu and Qingqing took the initiative to ask for help. Everyone's expressions changed. Lao Wu immediately stood up and said, Third senior sister, you are already tired from studying alchemical substances every day, and gray hair has grown on your temples, so how can you worry about this matter? Just let me do it. With that said, Lao Wu did his duty and ran directly to the kitchen to occupy his position. Sister, don't worry, 11ER often teaches me how to cook when I'm at home. Although her cooking skills are not as good as those of her wife, she will never disappoint everyone. Okay, okay. Support Lao Wu. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Come over for dinner. The master and disciples came to the top of the world tree. Sitting on the top of the world tree, it feels like you can reach out and pick the stars in the sky. On weekdays, Zioki Nicole Ellen likes to stay here the most, and sometimes she stays there all day long. Even slept here. The evening breeze is slightly cool. The disciples chatted happily and were in a good mood. Master. Zhang Mu sat cross-legged next to Su Xian, looking at the three worlds that were riddled with holes and fused together. He felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. What do you want to say? Su Xian asked. Master, you should know about the god of the abyss, right? Zhang Mu raised his most worrying question. Based on the information I came across in the abyss, there should be a real god in the abyss. Master knows. Su Xian nodded. I have already dealt with Lord Zilong in the ultimate battlefield, and he conveyed the will of the god of the abyss to my master. The will of the god of the abyss. Zhang Mu was shocked. Have you already been in contact with the god of the abyss? Not yet. Su Xian shook his head. Lord Zilong said that I should surrender to the abyss, become a slave of the god of the abyss, and gain the same position as Lord Zilong. Abyss's withdrawal this time may give me time to think about it, right? Zhang Mu was shocked. He didn't need to ask, he knew that the master's temperament was impossible to compromise with the abyss. Does that prove that the person we face next will be the legendary god of the abyss who controls the abyss of the super life world? But he didn't seem very panicked. Master, you should be able to defeat the god of the abyss, right? Zhang Mu asked a question that no normal life would dare to ask. Su Xian was asked directly. It has to be you. From the beginning to the end, Zhang Mu's trust in him was blind. Now he actually thought that his master could defeat the god of the abyss. Should he cry? Or laugh? I don't know. Su Xian shook his head. He didn't dare to guarantee it, but he did have a trump card. He felt that the god of the abyss could not personally destroy the blue star world. Because behind the fusion of the worlds, there are several other great gods pushing. If the god of the abyss wants to break the balance of life consumption between the two worlds, the result will inevitably be the blocking of the Eye of Crying. Under mutual restraint, no one dared to go all out, and his chance lies here, if he can get the Chaos Stones from the other 7 ancient Abyss Lords. Perhaps, he still has a chance. He has seen the power of the Tgtnd sword. Just the fragments can easily kill several ancient Abyss Lords, and can also pose a serious threat to the Lord Zalong, who is the slave of the Lord of the Abyss. If he could get the complete Tgtnd sword, plus the support of the World Tree, he would have the ability to truly compete with several top bosses in the Chaos universe. But at present, this plan is very difficult. First of all, the subsequent suitable disciples have not been found, and there is not enough system luck to support the return of the Tgtnd sword fragments. Secondly, even if he really killed the other 7 ancient Abyss Lords, plus the one he took from the Blood-Killing Lord and the 3 pieces from Lulan Star, in the end, there was still one piece missing. He didn't have much time left, and he had to have a better response plan. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 464. Su Xian had countless thoughts in his mind. If he was given enough time, he would not be afraid of all this, but unfortunately, time was running out, and he had to make a decision as soon as possible. It is better to rely on yourself than on others. The best way is to improve your strength to the level of those true gods. His eyes fell on a group of disciples. If all the disciples could reach the semi-god realm, perhaps he could really break through the limit. Beyond the so-called pseudo-god realm. Teacher, what's wrong with you? Xiaoqi Nicolin was very sensitive and soon sensed Su Xian's emotions. She asked with concern, are you worried about the invasion of the Abyss? In the Battle of the Abyss invasion, although Lin did not go to the front line, her contribution was no less than any demigod. With her nearly perfect foresight, she allowed the Blue Star Army to arrive at all the world channels that were about to be opened in advance, reducing a large number of casualties. Teacher, there must be hope. Without waiting for Su Xian to speak, Lin comforted again. Her eyes still had not recovered and were still being nurtured, but Su Xian seemed to see the light in the eyes of the disciples. Teacher, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Xianyu and Qingqing also said, after returning this time, I will work hard to develop new alchemical weapons. The next time the Abyss comes, I will make them look bad. Yes. Sun Xiaokong looked proud. What's so scary about the Abyss monsters? We will fight as many as they come. Besides, you have stopped the 8 strongest monarchs among them. We will definitely be able to stop the other monsters. The disciples were full of confidence. Su Xian did not say it out loud. The power of the god of the abyss is not something that the disciples can shake. Old 5, how much do you need to break through the semi-god realm? Except Zhongmu and Xiali, the strongest among the disciples is still Old 5 Miao Tian, who is also the most likely to break through the semi-god realm. Other disciples can also play a role that is not weaker than the semi-god realm under certain conditions, but their real realm is still a lot worse. Xianyu and Qingqing barely reached the king level after several enlightenments. His real combat power is almost negligible. It is a long way to go to break through the semi-god realm. Sun Xiaokong barely entered the third realm of the king after this return and was enlightened again. It takes a lot of time to enter the demigod realm. The 6th old man, Mai Wang, is promising, but he needs something like the original spirit ancestral blood to help him break through. The 7th little Nicolin can be ignored directly. The same is true for the 8th old man, Wuxin. The blood evolution system of the 9th little Uia is even more special. Now in the full moon state, the 9th little can burst out with power comparable to that of a demigod. but without the support of the moonlight power of the chaotic universe, the ninth little may not even be as good as an ordinary king. We can only hope. Teacher, I can do it. At this moment, Xylee took the lead and stood up, smiling. Teacher, I can break through the demigod realm, anytime and anywhere. Miao Tian swallowed back the words that were about to come to his mouth. He wanted to say that he could try it. As a result, Xylee directly said that he could break through anytime and anywhere, which made him embarrassed. No. Su Xian didn't want Xylee to take risks. He and Moira had predicted Xylee's future with prophecy, and saw that there were some stars rising in the grey silence, which meant that Xylee must be related to something big. Then think of the mysterious blood source factor of God in Xylee. He had a hunch. Once Xylee breaks through, it will cause a bigger storm. Perhaps it will make the whole chaotic universe event progress rapidly. He will not let Xylee break through unless he is forced to do so. Teacher, let me try. Miao Tian stood up. In this battle, several demigods fell on our blue star, and the situation on Lulan star is even worse, and new demigods are indeed needed. In this battle, the demigods of Lulan star also took action. Vivian, the strongest demigod on Lulan star, even killed a monarch of the abyss. The senior officials of Blue Star thought that the demigods of Lulan star would just stand by and watch the show. After all, the demigods of Blue Star and Lulan star's 10,000 races are mortal enemies. However, the demigods of Lulan star did not sit on the mountain and watch the fight. Everyone speculated that the demigods of the 10,000 races had to take action under the pressure of the abyss, because the rules of the abyss were like this, and they would destroy all the abyss worlds that were connected to the abyss. In the eyes of the abyss life, other lives must either merge into a part of the abyss or die. Even the demigods of the 10,000 races could not escape. Su Xian saw hope in the demigods of Lulan star taking action. In his heart, he was more inclined to believe that the demigods of the 10,000 races took action because of the instructions of the god behind them. Even the connection between the abyss world and the two worlds was likely to be pushed by the god's envoy crying "I" behind the scenes. Everything was too coincidental. Starting from the Great Transfer event, the 10,000 races entered Lulan star and went to war with the natives, mainly the elves, and finally planted the seeds of hatred. Then the two worlds collided, and the seeds of hatred that had been planted took root and sprouted. In order to expel the 10,000 races, the Peace faction took the initiative to unite with Blue Star, thus avoiding the extinction of the human race on Blue Star. The prelude to the war between the two worlds was thus opened. When the 10,000 races were about to start the second war, Lin Suiying untied the shackles of the four forbidden areas and released the nine-tailed fox. The two sides made an agreement that no one above the demigod level was allowed to take action. In the end, the 10,000 races were almost extinct, and the Blue Star suffered heavy losses. The war between the two worlds finally ended. At this time, the fusion of the two worlds has entered an almost irreversible state. At the same time, the invasion of the abyss has followed. Everything seems to be a natural development. If you think about it carefully, it is a step-by-step process, always trapped in a delicate balance. It is this balance that makes the extraordinary lives of the two worlds die continuously, and finally promotes the fusion of the three life worlds. If the conjecture is true, then Su Xian himself has become a chess piece, or in other words, his actions from beginning to end are in the calculations of the other party. This is a crisis. It is also an opportunity. He already has two response plans in his mind to deal with the next two situations. Assuming that the plan of the god's envoy Weeping Eye is to completely merge the three life worlds, then he will definitely not let the god of the abyss come in person. Then this is his opportunity. If the god of the abyss does not come, even if the other strongest monarchs, including Zilong, he can kill them and get 7 pieces of chaos stone. The disciples can also improve their strength during this period. The world tree can also grow further. At that time, he might have the hope of overturning the chessboard. If the god of the abyss really takes action himself, he can only rely on the power of the world tree and the projection of the god to fight hard, and the outcome is unpredictable. He was thinking. Miao Tian has been meditating on the top of the tree, concentrating his mind, trying to break through the threshold of the demigod realm. The other disciples consciously stepped aside, looking forward to it. If Lao Wu also breaks through, then the sect will have 3 demigods, an absolute super-rich force on Blue Star. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 465. Old 5 has entered the third realm of the king for several months. In peacetime, this time is very short. Many people need 10 or even 100 years to settle down before they have the opportunity to break through the demigod. But in turbulent times, the integration of the 3 worlds seems to have lowered the threshold for breakthroughs, and Su Xian's enlightenment technique has improved. And the help of the will of the world tree. Any disciple of Su Xian has rich conditions that ordinary professionals cannot match when he breaks through. The same is true for Miao Tian. Time passed bit by bit. From night to dawn, Miao Tian has made several movements, but still failed to find the opportunity to break through to the demigod. Su Xian can even feel the fluctuations of the origin of the chaotic universe in Old 5. But he just couldn't complete the final breakthrough. Day after day. In the blink of an eye, 3 more days passed. The other disciples went to practice and did not continue to wait here. Only Su Xian and Xiaoli stayed here, and the pregnant Lin Suiying occasionally came up to take a look. Boom. Until the night of the 5th day, the power of the origin of the chaotic universe finally erupted in Lao Wu. Under him, a huge meditation lotus bloomed. Not only that. The violent plague restraint on his arm was automatically untied, but his mind was not affected. The power of the violent plague was released and balanced by the other powers in Miao Tian's body. Miao Tian's power was too mixed. This was also the reason why his breakthroughs were repeatedly blocked. The power of the 8 desolate war god body, the power of the supreme meditation lotus, the power of the violent plague, the power of the refined demon sword sub-body. All kinds of power were rampant in his body. In the end, all other powers were suppressed by the power of the violent plague. Su Xian, who was sitting not far away, frowned. He thought that the violent plague was not strong until he saw the projection of the violent plague spreader on the 94th floor of the sky. In a sense, the spreader of the violent plague is stronger than the Abyss Lord God who controls the abyss. Su Xian didn't know whether this was a blessing or a curse. I'm Miao Tian. Finally I'm going to enter the demigod realm. Miao Tian was quite excited at this moment. He stood up and looked at the sky in the distance, full of vigor and energy, as if he had returned to the past. The melodious sound of the ancient bell rang between heaven and earth. Golden light fell from the sky, and the heavenly step road appeared above the blue star. The ancient bell rang along the heavenly step road. The vision of the birth of a demigod appeared again. In the short period of time since the abyss invaded, the vision of the birth of a demigod appeared one after another, including the 10,000 Thunder King, the Crazy Lion King, and the Holy Luo King. Who is it this time? Countless strong men looked at the source of the golden light. Dingai King City again. Who broke through this time? One of Su Xian's many disciples. Could it be that freak Li Xiaoli? I think it's more likely that the 8 desolate King Miao Tian, he should be on the verge of a breakthrough. His 3 demigods in one family, plus the super alchemist Qing Shen who is more terrifying than a demigod, and the Hammer King Xiaoli who can't be measured by common sense, this is a nest of monsters. In the future, Lan Xing will really have the surname Su. Everyone looked into the distance, and saw a figure stepping onto the road to the heavenly level. It's Miao Tian. After all, Miao Tian is a well-known strong man, and everyone recognized him at a glance. I wonder how many heavenly levels the 8 desolate king can reach. Everyone was looking forward to it. It shouldn't be too high. After all, the 8 Desolate King is not the most gifted. The talent of the Wuan King is even stronger than that of the 8 Desolate King, but he has not reached the 70th floor. Yes, the 8 Desolate King has missed the best period of cultivation. It is estimated to be around the 60th floor. Then you are wrong. The 8 Desolate King alone is indeed nothing, but with the name of His Majesty Su Xian, it is obviously different. Everyone was talking about it. Indeed, if it was just the name of the 8 Desolate King, it would be a miracle to reach the 60th floor. But when it comes to Su Xian, everything changes. After all, Su Xian is a person who created a real miracle, breaking the legendary limit of the 99 floors and ascending to the supreme road above the 99 floors. The latter and Su Xian's disciple Zhang also created miracles. From a human with mediocre talent to an awe-inspiring generation of Abyss Demon King, and as soon as he returned, he killed the other 2 Abyss Monarchs with force. So there are 3 Abyss Monarchs who died at the hands of Zhang Mu. Such strength is enough to be called the best in Blue Star. Even if it is converted to the heavenly rank. With Zhang Mu's strength, it is at least above the level of the 70th level, or even higher. So, the 8 Desolate King should not be ordinary, right? As everyone was looking forward to it, Miao Tian had already set foot on the road to the heavenly rank. 21st floor. Daily whipping corpses. The weakest demigod Luo Fei was used to it and started to play badly. The first 50 levels were not too stressful for Miao Tian, and he soon reached the 51st floor. After the 50th floor, Miao Tian's speed of crossing the heavenly rank slowed down visibly. This made many strong men breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, if all of Su Xian's disciples were so abnormal, they wouldn't have to play. 51, 52, 54, 55. Almost every level of the heavenly rank was in everyone's heart. Soon, he stepped on the 60th floor. The 60th floor can be considered a high level among the many demigods of Blue Star. Some pressure. Miao Tian laughed at himself. He did feel the pressure. If he developed normally, the 60th floor might be his limit. He might not even reach the 60th floor. But this time, he was different. With the help of the will of the world tree, he could go further. On the invisible heavenly steps above, something seemed to be calling him. He was familiar with that kind of power. It was the power of the violent plague. The violent plague changed his life and caused him to suffer the biggest setback in his life. It also made him meet his teacher and live again, giving him a higher limit. It also helped him defeat many powerful enemies. It also made his spirit, which had been tortured for countless days and nights, close to collapse. He had a complicated mentality towards this power. Under the guidance of the power of the violent plague, he moved forward again. 61, 62, 63, 69, 70. In the shocked eyes of countless people, Miao Tian stepped onto the 70th floor with difficulty and successfully squeezed into the ranks of the strongest demigods on Blue Star. But it stopped there. The 71st heavenly step failed to condense after all. Everyone didn't know whether to regret or celebrate. Some people thought that Miao Tian's breakthrough was unexpectedly good, and some people thought that as a disciple of Su Xian, he should create miracles. The heavenly step gradually dissipated. Just when everyone, including Miao Tian himself, thought that this breakthrough would end like this, another layer of heavenly step condensed in the farther part of the sky. That is, countless strong men's eyes froze. The 94th heavenly step. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 466. At that time, Su Xian's breakthrough attracted the attention of all the strong men in the three realms. Many strong men still remember this vividly. After all, it was the first time they saw the 90th level heavenly steps. They clearly remembered that from the 90th level, each level of the ladder looked very different, and the 94th level of heavenly steps was what Miao Tian showed in his breakthrough. The strong men did not know what the 90th level of heavenly steps represented. But he knew that this must be a rare opportunity. I'm so envious. It was almost gone, but it was forced to continue. Could it be related to His Majesty Su Xian? Countless powerful men of the title of Marquis and King looked up, and the strong men of the demigod realm could not hide their envious eyes. Come up. In Miao Tian's mind, an ancient and powerful voice sounded. The sudden appearance of the 94th level of heavenly steps surprised Miao Tian as well. The violent factor in his body was agitated, and he already knew it in his heart. The 94th level of heavenly steps must be related to the spreader of the violent plague. Is it really the power from the chaotic universe? Miao Tian had guessed it long ago. After all, even Dean Pei, the third senior sister and the teacher could not solve the violent plague, which was beyond the scope of Blue Star. If it was before, he might have considered it, but now the situation is urgent, and he would not let go of the opportunity to become stronger. As long as he can share some of the burden with the teacher, it will be good. Under the attention of countless people, Miao Tian took a step and went directly from the disappeared 70th floor to the 94th floor. Of course, each floor represents a baptism. It is the beginning of truly washing away the mortal world and shaping the divine body. The baptism of the disappeared heavenly level in the middle is naturally not available, and only the gift of the 94th floor can be obtained. Step into the 94th floor. Boom. Miao Tian's soul seemed to be dragged into the depths of the chaotic universe in an instant. In the vast galaxy, he saw a figure shuttling through countless star worlds. The body of that tall figure was filled with explosive red muscles, and his face was as hideous as a demon, but the breath he exuded was not evil. He dragged long iron chains on his feet. Wherever he passed, the violent factor spread everywhere. At that moment, Miao Tian seemed to see a tall figure wandering in the Blue Star world. It was at that time that he left the violent factor here, and eventually he was infected by the violent factor. What is the meaning of his doing this? Hatred of life. Miao Tian thought. Not everyone is as lucky as him, with a physique that can accommodate the violent plague and a good teacher to suppress the violent mental power. Most people who are infected with the violent plague have only one result. That is to constantly overdraw their strength and finally die tragically. Few of those who were infected with the violent plague are still alive today. Even with the existence of restraints, as long as the emotional fluctuations are large, they still cannot be suppressed. He is the only one who can use the violent plague to fight normally. Weak human life. I am a ghost god. The voice sounded again in his mind. Miao Tian was shocked. Ghost god? Is it really a real god? Congratulations on passing the test of the ghosts and gods. Are you willing to accept my true power? Miao Tian was shocked. The true power of the ghosts and gods. Is the powerful increase brought to him by the violent plague only a small part of the power of the ghosts and gods? I do. Miao Tian did not hesitate. His life is worth it. Being able to come here has exceeded his expectations. It is a gain no matter how long he lives. He is willing to accept any side effects of the power of the ghosts and gods. As long as he can help the teacher when the abyss opens next time, everything will be worth it. To accept my power, you must sign a soul contract. From now on, you are my messenger, the messenger of the ghosts and gods. When you enter the realm of God, you will be summoned by me and come to my side. You will patrol the sky for me. Spreading violent plague to the chaotic universe is the carnival of life. The voice of the ghosts and gods sounded again. Miao Tian did not understand what it meant to be the messenger of the ghosts and gods, but at least from now on, it is still a long way from the time when he needs to pay the price. In the meantime, as long as he can do his part for the teacher, it is enough to protect his wife and children. I do. He spoke again. Boom. The next moment, a blood-red light column fell from the sky. The light column enveloped Miao Tian. The terrifying pressure spread, causing countless strong men to change color. What is that? Such a terrifying power, it can make me tremble instinctively. What did Miao Tian do? Is it a blessing or a curse? Countless strong men speculated that the power above the heavenly level was too terrifying, so they had to think more. The current situation of Blue Star was already delicate. If there is any more misfortune, I am afraid it will be completely over. The top of the world tree. Su Xian sat there, looking at the blood column that enveloped the old fifth Miao Tian. It is the projection of the great existence on the 94th floor. He had seen the projection of this person when he stepped on the 94th floor of the heavenly level. Now one of the ultimate bosses of the chaotic universe has sent down his power. What is the purpose? He can see that the blood-red light column is not destruction, but more like a kind of inheritance or baptism. Could it be that Miao Tian reached some kind of agreement with this person? Boom. Under the baptism of the blood-colored light column, the 94th sky step gradually disappeared, and the power of the light column also gradually weakened, and finally only Miao Tian was left standing in the sky. At this moment, his body was completely covered with the symptoms of violent plague, like a hideous ghost. Just one look was enough to make people feel terrified. Countless strong men watched the scene in horror. They did not dare to speak, nor did they dare to go there to investigate. Will Miao Tian completely turn into that kind of violent monster? Why did it suddenly become like this? Too scary. Let's just wait and see how His Majesty Su Xian handles it. Many strong men could only watch. Soon Su Xian appeared in the sky. Under the gaze of countless strong men, Su Xian came to Miao Tian. Miao Tian slowly turned his head, and the master and apprentice looked at each other. Su Xian saw it. The clarity in the eyes of the fifth Miao Tian. Soon, Miao Tian turned back to his original form, and even the symptoms of violent plague on his arm disappeared. But Su Xian could feel that under this ordinary appearance, the violent blood power had reached its peak. Teacher, don't worry. Miao Tian smiled, my disciple is very strong and getting younger and younger. He stretched his limbs. The power in his body was many times stronger than before. With his current strength, it is no problem to fight against an abyss monarch. After getting familiar with this power, he may even challenge several ancient monarchs. Well, let's talk about it when we get back. Su Xian didn't ask more here. Some things don't need to be known to everyone. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 467. Return to Dingai Palace, the top of the world tree. A system prompt suddenly sounded in Su Xian's mind. Ding, your disciple Miao Tian accepted the main source power of ghosts and gods and became the messenger of ghosts and gods. Congratulations on triggering a tenfold critical hit return. You have obtained the main skill God and Ghost Blade. The sudden reminder made Su Xian feel happy. Main skill? The ultimate sword of gods and ghosts? As the strength becomes stronger and stronger, the functions and secrets of the past are now becoming less and less effective. Although they can be used against the enemy, they are obviously not as effective as before. Now he finally has a magical skill that can suppress the enemy again. He remembered that Lord Zilong said that the god of the abyss is the so-called main god. This kind of god can possess the status of a god and bless his own god slaves. Ghosts and gods should also be one of the main gods, right? The system says that Miao Tian has become a messenger of ghosts and gods. Is this considered a messenger of gods or a slave of gods? His understanding of the divine envoys is now becoming increasingly vague. It stands to reason that a divine envoy is a messenger of God and should be weaker than a god. Why does the method shown by the crying eyes be stronger than that of the Lord God of the abyss? And the creator behind the mechanical life race is not weak either. These things are obviously impossible to figure out based on his current knowledge. If you don't set foot on that level, you will never be able to truly understand the things at that level. However, with the Shengijuishan blade, he has a stronger means of defending against enemies. Adding hope for the next battle. Teacher, have you seen the god who calls himself Ghost and God when you set foot on the 94th floor? Miao Tian asked. I've seen it Su Suandeo, but I didn't know that he was called a ghost. I only knew that he was a very powerful god in the chaotic universe. The disciples have signed a contract with ghosts and gods. Miao Tian didn't hide anything. He did this just to help his teacher more in the next battle. Will it have any impact on you? Su Xian also knew that once a deal with such a big boss was completed, there would be no room for regret. What's more, this might also be an opportunity for Miao Tian. Not necessarily a bad thing. In the agreement between ghosts and gods, after the disciple reaches the divine realm, he must travel the chaotic universe on his behalf and spread the violent plague. Miao Tian answered truthfully. Spreading the plague. Su Xian frowned. He didn't know what these gods were thinking about every day. The 99th level top boss, the god of death, likes to install twin towers in every life, and the crying eyes are planning how to integrate the world of life every day. Su Ying's teacher had lived in Blue Star for such a long time and even accepted Su Ying as her disciple and taught her many things that were extremely simple to her. Now here comes another weird ghost who likes to spread plague everywhere. The gods are not doing their business day by day. In comparison, the god of the abyss seemed much normal. That's all for the future. Miao Tian smiled and said, in short, the power I get now is earned, and the disciple can finally share his efforts for the teacher. Maybe when I control this power, I can help the teacher. It won't last long. Miao Tian was quite excited. Okay. I will wait for that day as my master Su Xian did not expose it. It would be great if only this power could deal with the abyss. In his eyes, the ancient monarchs of the abyss were not a threat, and they had even been regarded by him as a stepping stone to advance. He was worried about the god of the abyss. Miao Tian's strength was obviously not enough to face the god of the abyss. After all, the god of the abyss and ghosts and gods are almost on the same level. Even if Miao Tian steps into the realm of gods and becomes a true messenger of ghosts and gods, he cannot be a match for the god of the abyss. The master and apprentice chatted for a while. Miao Tian said goodbye and left. Everyone has seen the scene just now. 11ER is probably still worried and scared. He has to go back. Wait for Miao Tian to leave. Zhang Mu walked up and stared at Miao Tian's leaving back. Lao Wu's strength has improved a lot. Now he is at least at the same level as me. I hope we can take a good lead and encourage more junior brothers and sisters to work hard. When it comes to involution, Zhang Mu has always been unrivaled. Even after becoming the Lord of the Abyss, Zhang Mu never slacked off in his cultivation. Struggle continued throughout his life. It never stops. Zhang Mu has been moving towards that goal in his heart. It is absolutely impossible for him to relax and stop practicing before he surpasses his teacher. Dad, I really want to make a breakthrough too. The little carp started to act coquettishly. The senior brother and fifth junior brother made breakthroughs one after another, and she was already feeling itchy. If the teacher hadn't stopped her, she would have definitely summoned the heavenly order now. She felt that she should be able to shock everyone like the teacher for a year and a half. Wait a little longer, Su Xian consoled him. After the younger brothers and sisters are born, can we let Xiao Li break through? Okay, Xiao Li pouted and said aggrievedly, who asked me to be so considerate? She grabbed Zhang Mu's clothes and apologized seriously, I'm sorry, senior brother, it's me who is holding back the ox-horse combination now. Zhang Mu couldn't laugh or cry. One day with Xiao Li made him smile 100 times more than the 2 years he spent in the abyss combined. It's okay, senior brother is waiting for you. Zhang Mu comforted. TCH, Xiao Li curled his lips, don't think I don't know that senior brother practices without sleeping every day. Get used to it. After being exposed, Zhang Mu looked embarrassed. He was really used to involution. He would feel bored if he didn't practice for a moment. Xiao Li laughed again and said, but the 2 horns on my head are getting more and more handsome, which is very suitable for our ox-horse combination. When I break through, I will also make a ponytail. Let's echo each other and become the ultimate form of the ox-horse combination. Zhang Mu held his forehead. Junior sister really worried about the great cause of ox-horse. But it's good, at least the junior sister can live a carefree life without thinking too much. When she grows up, she will never be able to have the happiness she has now. Time flows. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days passed. After a short period of calm, the turbulent atmosphere spread again in the 3 life worlds. The abyss is coming again. Nicolin, who was sitting on the top of the world tree to monitor the overall situation, stood up suddenly and immediately sent out an emergency defense communication. Su Xian also noticed it. He hasn't been so nervous in his heart for a long time. This long-lost feeling made the fighting factor in his body beat. Will the god of the abyss come? Su Xian's eyes were dim. If the god of the abyss came, he would try his best. If he didn't come, then this would be his best chance to kill several ancient abyss lords and collect chaos stones. Get these 7 chaos stones. There are 11 chaos stones in total. Whether he can reshuffle the chessboard and become one of the chess players depends on this battle. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 468. Compared to the last time when they had to enter the world passage to compete for position, this time Blue Star undoubtedly took the lead. Every world passage has been fortified. But facing the abyss, everyone still didn't have much confidence. The crazy attack of the abyss would not be afraid of the power of the defensive crystal. Far more ferocious than all the tribes of Lulan Star. The ultimate world passage in the Arctic Sea. Yan Qingqing, who has recovered from serious injuries, and Yu Yu, who has lost one arm and one leg and has replaced it with a mechanical prosthesis, are still responsible for guarding here. Last time they almost died at the hands of the Abyss Lord. Fortunately, Qingshen came to the rescue in time, and they barely managed to save their lives. This time Qingshen gave them newer weapons. It is a new type of weapon that incorporates second-generation anti-abyssal technology, called the Annihilation class. Yu Yu is almost fully armed, with cannons, guns, lasers, etc., and even the motorcycle battleships have been equipped with the latest technology. This gun feels so comfortable. Yuyuka wiped the guns and weapons carefully and said with a smile, the appearance of Qingshen is of great help to those of us who rely on long-range attack professions that rely on weapons. If Blue Star had already had a big boss like Qingshen, the high-end career development would not have been so abnormal. Marksman professions rely too much on weapons and equipment. The top bosses are almost all in close combat, and a demigod like you can only fight with 2 hands. Yan Wuking looked serious. Faced with Yu Yu's constant nagging, he chose to shut up. He knew that as long as he answered a sentence, this woman could say dozens of sentences, so shutting up was the best choice. I guess you're thinking about revenge, right? Yu Yu thought to himself, that's right. How could a proud person like you not want to take revenge? After all, he was beaten so badly last time. If it weren't for me, you would probably have been eaten by that blood wolf monarch. Yan Qingqing silently clenched his fists. My own thoughts were really guessed by this woman. What made him most ashamed was that the person who rescued him was still a disciple of Su Xian. During the treatment process, he suffered more than other wounded people, so he endured it. If he failed again this time, he might not even be able to tolerate himself. Coming. Yu Yu suddenly stopped smiling. Yan Wuking suddenly raised his head and looked towards the abyss passage. The abyssal army surged in from the other end of the world passage like a tide. Even though so many abyssal beings died last time, the number of abyssal beings did not decrease this time. Because the abyss world is far larger than the blue star, and the number of lives it breeds is by no means comparable to the blue star. He turned to look at Yu Yu, and just as he was about to say something, the latter's smile crept onto his cheeks again. Haha, do you think I'm nervous? I'm just cooperating with you. Woohoo! Take off. Yu Yu activated the motorcycle battleship. This time, the speed of the motorcycle battleship was at least 30% faster than before. Oh God! Forever God! Love you so much. Yu Yu enjoys this excitement. The cannon was set up and fired towards the ice and snow monarch. She had a top marksman talent and could accurately guide no matter how fast she moved. This time, the cannon struck with a single blow. The ice and snow monarch took a direct hit and was sent flying backwards. Really broke the ice. Yu Yu was very surprised. It seemed that the second generation annihilation level anti-abyssal weapons were far stronger than the first generation. After all, it is a weapon that was born after collecting combat samples and conducting targeted research. One strike wins. Yu Yu gained great confidence and used all kinds of weapons to blast the ice and snow monarch indiscriminately. Relying on the powerful firepower, he finally gained the upper hand. This scene also gave Yan Wuking great confidence. Can you finally take revenge? Flames ignited on Yan Wuking's body and he started to kill the Blood Wolf Lord. The next second, he flew back faster. Obviously, he overestimated himself. One or two weapons didn't improve him that much. There was still a clear gap between him and the Blood Wolf Monarch, so he could only bite the bullet and kill. At least Yu Yu's cover is much stronger this time. Humanity spends too much energy on sidetracks. The ice and snow monarch looked at Yu Yu coldly. This is why you blue star humans are always inferior to other living worlds. You don't pay too much attention to evolution. Only your own evolution is the eternal power. She put her handprint in mid-air, and the entire sky was completely frozen like a lake. Yu Yu's speed was also greatly affected, and she could only give up the best position for firepower and retreat. The Ice and Snow Lord said, technology that cannot be controlled will only become the source of your destruction. For a living world like yours, integrating into the abyss is the right way. You're in a hurry, you're in a hurry. A voice came from the speaker on the Yu Yu motorcycle battleship. The voice actor is Sun Xiaokong. As a former Dingai Brash, Sun Xiaokong often did taunting things outside, especially taunting his enemies. It's just that I never get into trouble. She continued to attack the Ice and Snow Monarch with all her firepower. She was looking for an opportunity to give the Ice and Snow Monarch a fatal blow, but there was only one chance, so she had to be cautious. Among the many weapons, there is a super anti-abyss weapon called Purple Annihilation, which is fused with the will of the Divine Tree and is the only weapon that can cause fatal injuries to the Ice and Snow Monarch. Yan Wuking, just hold on. Yu Yu had to distract herself to protect Yan Wuking, but if she was distracted again, she would obviously not be able to fight against an enemy of the level of the Ice and Snow Monarch. Without waiting for Yan Wuking to respond, Yu Yu had already shifted her firepower. The powerful firepower instantly suppressed the Ice and Snow Monarch. I'll let you do whatever you want. Yu seemed very angry, and actually rushed forward into the ice area, turning on the face sweeping mode. Humph. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the ice and snow monarch. This was her best chance. She raised her hand, and frost formed on the motorcycle battleship out of thin air. I can make countless mistakes. But you will die if you make one mistake. The frost attached, and the ice and snow monarch completely locked Yu, wanting to freeze her, her weapons, and her mount. Yu's other leg was also frozen. If she lost this leg again, her life would basically be ruined. The annihilation of the origin body was too terrible to be fatal. Wait a little longer. Keep your mind steady. Yu kept telling herself in her heart. It doesn't matter if I lose another leg, as long as I can kill this Abyss Lord, it's all worth it. The Ice and Snow Lord's casting speed is too fast, all instantaneous. She must let the Ice and Snow Lord enter a short period of stagnant casting, so that the purple annihilation anti-abyss weapon can hit. Ah! There was a sharp pain in the lower body. Yu's breath was weak, and he risked his life to lure the fish to the hook. The Ice and Snow Lord also had a killing intention at this moment, wanting to completely end Yu's life, but was pierced through the center of his eyebrows by a purple bullet. The bullet was attached with a terrifying wool, which destroyed her mind in just an instant, leaving only the remaining consciousness struggling. Boom! All kinds of weapons hit her uncontrollable body directly, and were finally ruthlessly annihilated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 469. Single kill. Yan Wuking was shocked when he saw Yu, who had lost both legs but still clenched his teeth. Yu usually looked careless. Like an immature girl who only knew how to act cool. This scene completely shocked his heart. Such a meticulous but decisive battle plan, he asked himself, he couldn't do it? Yan Wuking, kill him. Yu did not stop fighting, she immediately took out a bottle of potion and drank it, forcibly suppressed the severe pain in her body, and drove the motorcycle warship towards the Blood Wolf Monarch. Perhaps this is the most advantageous point for the Blue Star human race. The Abyss Monarch would rather fight to death than run away. At this time, the Blood Wolf Monarch saw the Ice and Snow Monarch die in front of him, but still chose to fight 1 against 2 and face the 2. With Yu's full suppression, Yan Wuking was relieved. The two worked together to suppress the Blood Wolf Monarch. In the end, Yan Wuking also used the only purple annihilation weapon in his hand to put an end to the Blood Wolf Monarch. The two Abyss Lords naturally foreshadowed the victory of this front, which was undoubtedly a great encouragement for the human camp. Dongzhou, Rift Valley. The demigod originally stationed here was the great demon king Xiao Wei, but in the last battle with the divine Condor Lord, Xiao Wei was seriously injured and did not receive timely treatment. It was not until the Abyss withdrew that Xiao Wei barely saved his life. He is still in a coma and cannot continue to fight. Fortunately, the resilience of the Blue Star human race has always been good. In this desperate situation, people have broken through one after another and filled the previous vacancies. Miao Tian took over Xiao Wei's task and continued to guard the ultimate world channel of the Dongzhou Rift Valley. At the same time, the fourth brother Sun Xiaokong also came. The brothers have cooperated together many times on the battlefield, and now it is still the same. The fifth brother has broken through just like this, I'm so envious. Sun Xiaokong envied, but he had just entered the third realm not long ago, and now even the realm is not stable. He still has a long way to go to enter the demigod realm. Fortunately, his progress on the battlefield is not slow. The special life field has now expanded to an extremely broad realm, almost enough for his entire army, and the feedback he has received is incomparable to before. Now he has no problem fighting 5 great lords of the abyss. The battlefield above. Miao Tian looked at his opponent, the Divine Condor Lord. The last battle was forced to end, and the Divine Condor Lord left with the Abyss army. Now he has returned again and has recovered to his prime. Human, you have become stronger. The Divine Condor Lord looked at Miao Tian. The last time we met, you borrowed the power of others. This Lord thinks you are not worthy of being an opponent. I hope you will not disappoint this Lord this time. I hope you will not disappoint me either. Miao Tian smiled and said, 8 of the 8 most powerful monarchs in the abyss fought against my teacher and were killed in return. I hope they will not be wiped out this time. You should be one of the strongest ones besides those 8, right? It is just right for me to kill you, and it does not disgrace the teacher's reputation. Oh? Are you that person's disciple? The Divine Condor Lord was surprised. That person's strength is indeed beyond common sense. All the monarchs of the abyss are impressed by his strength. He can be said to be the strongest person they have encountered on the road of conquest. As that person's disciple, it seems reasonable that this human being in front of him is a little stronger? Come on. Miao Tian's fighting spirit is high. He also wants to try how powerful the power of ghosts and gods is. Now he has no restraints in his hands, because he can use the violent power of ghosts and gods at will. Boom! Qi and blood are swaying. Miao Tian's body swells, and the blood and qi fluctuations can be seen with the naked eye. Behind him, there is a bright red hilt. The hilt constantly absorbs the qi and blood power on the battlefield, and constantly enhances Miao Tian's strength. Very powerful. Stronger than last time. The Divine Condor Lord was very excited. I hope you can really control this power and let me have a hearty battle. In return, this monarch will kill you with the strongest move. Miao Tian did not respond, but turned into a blood rainbow and pounced on the Divine Condor Lord. In this state, the killing intent in him was obviously stronger than usual. Fast. The Lord of Divine Condor also turned on the fast mode. In the fast mode at his peak, Miao Tian could not catch his movement trajectory at all, and could only use instinct to make a forced counter-attack like the great devil Xiao Wei. The difference is that every time Miao Tian was hit, the blood and qi in his body would be stronger. He was like a tiger with accumulated anger, ready to give his opponent a fatal blow. Swish! 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 The Lord of Divine Condor continued to attack, not knowing that his body was gradually stained with blood. I got you. At a certain moment, a bloody light flashed in Miao Tian's eyes, and he raised his hand and sucked it. The powerful blood and qi directly bound the Lord of Divine Condor, and the heavy sword suddenly slashed out. The wings of the Lord of Divine Condor were directly cut off. The blood and qi continued to erode him along the wound. Such a serious injury caused the speed of the Divine Eagle Lord to slow down greatly. Although he could briefly transform his wings with his original energy, he could not return to his peak. Miao Tian pounced on him again like a bloodthirsty beast. At this moment, the qi and blood sword behind him had been completely condensed, emitting a power that made the entire battlefield tremble. Flying fast is useless. Miao Tian kept slashing and hitting with his sword, and his sword energy covered a large area, always hitting the Divine Condor Lord several times. Puff! Another sword. The other wing of the Divine Condor Lord was also cut off. Is this the power of ghosts and gods? Miao Tian was extremely happy. He had no chance of winning against the Divine Condor Lord before, but now he could defeat the Divine Condor Lord head-on. The gods in the chaotic universe are indeed unfathomable. It's over. He suddenly pulled out the blood sword behind him. The blood column enveloped. The blood of the Divine Condor Lord was plundered by the blood column and flowed away at an extremely alarming speed. Ah! In the painful howl, the body of the Divine Condor Lord turned into golden light. Whoosh! 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 Several feather thorns flew out of the blood column and directly penetrated Miao Tian's chest, and the latter had almost no chance to react. The blood column disappeared. The divine Condor Lord turned into a mummy and fell into the battlefield. Miao Tian also lifted the violent state of the ghosts and gods and returned to normal. At the moment of release, the intense pain swept through his body, almost causing his nerves to collapse. Since the violent state of the ghost weakened the pain, the contrast after recovery was completely unbearable. Those feather thorns almost took his life. The dying counter-attack of the Divine Eagle Lord was indeed terrifying. If it weren't for the Supreme Meditation Lotus protecting his mind and the vitality of his body that was hosted by the ghost power, he would probably have fallen. I have done everything I should do. The final direction of the war still depends on the teacher. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 470. The ultimate battlefield where the two worlds meet. Su Xian sat on the chaotic land and waited early. Because the last battle was too intense, the world channel is now in a state of near collapse, and the chaotic energy is raging more and more. Life below the King realm cannot even set foot here. Not showing up yet. Su Xian is like a hunter waiting for prey to appear. This is his best chance. At present, the god of the abyss should be subject to certain restrictions, otherwise it would be impossible for him not to appear until now. Su Xian breathed a sigh of relief. As long as the god of the abyss does not come in person, he has a chance to complete his plan. Su Xian, I thought you would escape. I didn't expect you to get there before us. You are so brave. A voice came from the other end of the channel. It was several ancient abyss monarchs. Su Xian's eyes swept over, he could detect the changes of several abyss monarchs. The aura was much stronger than before, it should be strengthened by the god of the abyss. Did you notice it? The Yellow River Lord smiled and said, I didn't want to use this to deal with you. The power of the great abyss god is also an external force, but we cannot go against the will of God. So, are you ready to die? Is it really the power of the abyss god? Su Xian smiled. Ignorance. Fearlessness. Seeing that Su Xian still dared to laugh, several abyss lords just thought that humans had never seen the real God, and didn't know how powerful the power of God was. They believed that Su Xian would soon stop laughing. Su Xian's smile became more intense. Didn't the abyss god's move just prove the fact that the abyss god could not take action directly? In this way, for him, it was a good sign. Isn't the Candle Dragon Lord coming? Su Xian asked. In his eyes, the yellow spring, light, and shadow, Xianyu and other lords were not any threats. The only one who was qualified for him to look at was the Candle Dragon Lord. Killing you is enough for us. The Light and Shadow Lord took the lead in launching an attack. Swoosh. His speed was so fast that he could distort the void and achieve an effect similar to time stopping. In the blink of an eye, the hand that turned into a light thorn reached Su Xian's forehead. Su Xian controlled the 1,000 Machines shield to block the attack, but the momentum still forced him to retreat. The power of the god of the abyss is really extraordinary. The several monarchs strengthened by the god of the abyss are completely different from before. They can be so strong without the power of the Chaos Stone. Then come on. Su Xian finally raised the will to fight. Chaos Stone Black Hole, open. Seeing this, several abyss monarchs also opened the power of the Chaos Stone. The 6 monarchs surrounded Su Xian, and the Golden Cicada Monarch and the Devouring Monarch, who had the strongest vitality, attacked. The Dream Monarch and the Yellow Spring Monarch suppressed from the side. The Light and Shadow Monarch was responsible for the secret assassination. The Black Feather Monarch continued to consume. The 6 monarchs, with the power of the god of the abyss, easily gained the upper hand and forced Su Xian to retreat again and again, but they did not dare to relax at all. Because they knew very well that this human had even more terrifying means. Now he seemed to be in a mess, but in fact he was just practicing with the 6 of them. This made them angry. In a short period of time, Su Xian's strength seemed to have improved a lot, and it was significantly stronger than before. They couldn't understand. At such a level, why could he improve so quickly in a short period of time? The small step that they could only take thousands of years to cross was easily jumped by Su Xian. Perhaps this is the human race? Relying on the sacrifice of the lowest level to create the glory of the highest level. Perhaps the destiny of the human race has been completely absorbed by this person, just like what humans often say, a person born in response to the times. As long as this person is killed, the human race will not be worth mentioning. Even without taking action, the human race will quickly collapse. This kind of thing will not happen in the abyss. Even if the god of the abyss falls, the life of the abyss will still fight fearlessly until they or the enemy die. 7 figures fought. In this chaotic world channel, they have forgotten the concept of time. Still not enough. Su Xian thought that after Miao Tian's breakthrough, his realm had grown a lot, but it was still a little short of dealing with the siege of the monarchs strengthened by the god of the abyss. That's the only way. Swoosh. The fragment of Taiji Tiandi's sword appeared in Su Xian's hand. The 6 monarchs changed color instantly, and their hearts were lifted up. The last time, the blood-killing monarch died under this mysterious incomplete weapon. Even the Candle Dragon monarch took action, but he couldn't stop the disaster for him. They always felt that the power contained in this incomplete weapon was even more superior to the power of the Lord of the Abyss. Go. Su Xian manipulated the fragment of Taiji Tiandi's sword and directly killed the Golden Cicada monarch who was blocking the front. Although the latter's vitality was strong enough, the suppression of the fragment of Taiji Tiandi's sword was a dimensionality reduction attack. Puff. The Golden Cicada monarch was pierced through, and used the method of Golden Cicada to shed its shell to avoid fatal injuries, but he still suffered a lot of trauma and his breath was weak. This kind of power. Too terrible. The other monarchs didn't even have time to react. If Lord Zilong doesn't take action, I'm afraid they will all die here. Death is not terrible, but 7 people besieging one and being surrounded and killed is the greatest shame for a life in the abyss. Lord Candle Dragon, are you still not going to attack? The 6 great monarchs tried their best to resist. Puff. Lord Golden Cicada was pierced again. If he had not been born with the racial talent of escaping from the shell, he would have died twice. Even so, his source power would have been exhausted. When the source of life dissipated, his racial talent also lost its talent, and he would definitely die. Puff. He resisted desperately, but he was completely unable to break the broken sword fragments that could pass through space without any fluctuations. Lord Golden Cicada was destroyed just like that. Su Xian immediately appeared at the location where Lord Golden Cicada was annihilated and put the lost Chaos Stone into the system space. Continuously manipulating the fragments of the Taiji Tiandi sword, he also consumed a lot of power. This seemed to give the remaining 5 great Abyss monarchs hope. He can't always manipulate such a powerful artifact as he pleases, and unite to kill him. A few fools. Su Xian sneered in his heart. If his power was so easily exhausted, how could he have persisted until now? The 3 realms merged. The world tree grew with the origin of the 3 realms. He can also continuously draw strength from the origin of the 3 realms to replenish himself. As long as his body can bear it, the origin will never be exhausted. Whoosh! The Taiji Tiandi sword fragment shot out again. This time, the target was the Light and Shadow Monarch. At the moment when it was about to hit the Light and Shadow Monarch, the latter turned into a twisted light and disappeared, and then crashed directly into him. Obviously, the Light and Shadow Monarch was also forced to use his strongest means. Buzz! With a sound, the third Taiji Tiandi sword fragment appeared. The Light and Shadow Monarch had no time to react and was directly penetrated, and most of his origin was also broken.